A 2000 Hyundai Accent front brake rotors. The pads are good. The rotors are a little bit warped. You can feel it when you're driving. When you touch the brakes, the front steering wheel starts to wobble, and you can feel the pulsation in the pads, or in the brake pedal, and you can feel it in the steering wheel. And there's the tight spot right there. I'm spinning the front wheel with both wheels off the ground, and you can feel that's where it gets tight on the pads. So see, nice and loose and free, and then tight spot. Okay, so rotors are warped. You could resurface them if you want. It is cheaper now to buy pads than resurface them, or buy rotors than resurface them now. So what we're going to do is there's a retainer. This could be a screw, bolt, nut, God knows. It's a 12-year-old car. People could have put anything in it. This one happens to be a Phillips. It wasn't ridiculously tight. I just unscrewed it and pulled it out. So I'm going to pull that out, and then we're going to turn the wheel in the direction that you're working so the caliper faces out toward you. Steering's locked, so I can't pull this out. And then we're going to remove the caliper. Since this caliper is not seized and these pads are good, it's just going to be simply pulling off the caliper. So I'll do that in 2 seconds. Okay, before I take the caliper off, the new rotors are going to come packed in. You can see the yellowing of the bag. There's an oil that they're coated on from the factory, and that keeps it from rusting. And you want to take that off before you put a new rotor on, or else it's going to contaminate your brake pads, and you're going to have really horrible braking. And of course, when I saw Spetsnaz Victor, my parts guy today, he can kill people with a stick. I swear to God, this guy's scary. Ex-Russian KGB, I think. Anyway, I forgot to get brake cleaner. Damn. I might have to use engine degreaser. I got a little bit of brake cleaner. So anyway, you want to use brake cleaner to clean, because it will evaporate and dissolve. You'll spray some brake cleaner on there and get the oil, the packing oil off, and wipe them off with a clean cloth and back in. Now, I forgot to mention, on a new rotor, most of them now come cross-hatched. I'm going to try and see the little sanding marks in there. They're cross-hatched. That's what you used to. If your new rotors come and they don't have like a sanding cross-hatch on that, you want to just take like a 300-400 grit sandpaper and lightly scuff up the whole surface of the rotor. Most of them now, I haven't seen any that haven't come pre-sanded for a long time, but you never know. Anyway, that's what the cross-hatching looks like. You just want to make sure you've got that, and these rotors are clean and we're ready to put them on. I'm going to take the caliper off. Okay, the main caliper bolts are two 17mm bolts, one top and one bottom. Obviously, I pre-loosened them so you wouldn't have to suffer through watching me remove a bolt. I'm going to make you do now. And we're going to take these two bolts off and set the caliper aside. Never set the caliper and let it hang by its brake line. If you don't have something to get a box, get something to put it on, let it sit on top of. I usually get an old jack stand and just sit beside it and let it sit on top of there. I think this one will rest. I'll go far enough back that I can just rest it on top of the drive shaft. And we will see. It's only going to have to balance there for a second. Old rotor. Oh, I need to remove that retaining bolt. Nut. Old rotor off. Just make sure the surface back here where the new rotor is going to go on is clean. If it's all rusty, sand it down a little bit. And look at this brake backing plate. Unfortunately, I don't have a new one for her, so I'm going to have to leave this one on. It's pretty crappy. Looks like this one you have to take the whole wheel hub off to get the new one on. So I'm not going to touch that, I'm just going to leave it. It'll probably eventually crumble, but for now, it's good. As you can see, the evil happened. This caliper fell down. Stay there for 2 seconds. Line the new rotor up so that you've got the bolt holes so you can screw the retaining screw on, and we're going to stick the caliper back on. Baby, line up. Are these 2 different size bolts? No, they're not. They're being beaches. These Hyundais with no power steering. The front end is so damn light. Alright, new caliper on. So we're just going to put that rotor retaining nut back on. Where is it? Okay, now we're going to spray this down with degreaser again in case my dirty hands got on anything, and brake cleaner is best, but if you don't have it, degreaser works fine. Anyway, we are done. Same thing for the other side, just going to put the wheel back on, and that's about it. Again, pump your brakes a few times when you first replace pads or rotors, because your pad and rotor will not be pushed up nice and close to each other, and if you back out the first time or drive forward the first time, you might not have full braking and you might run into something. So pump your brakes a few times after you've changed pads and or rotors. Always pump them a few times until the pedal gets nice and firm again, and be back in a minute.